Hi there and welcome to the program. So before we get started, I just want to ask you a little question. I'm wondering if you've ever thought about why, despite maybe knowing everything that you need to do in order to lose weight, how come you're not seeing the results that you're looking for? Maybe you've read every nutrition book and you're still not seeing the results. You know every exercise and you know how to exercise, but for some reason you're still not getting the results. But the problem might not actually be how much you know. One of the problems might actually be what is around you, so your environment. So when it comes to making life changes and transformations, we hear a lot about the importance of the mindset and the way you look at the world and what you believe your capabilities are and the perceptions you have and the experiences you have and what you take from it and how all of this shapes your world. And these things happen both consciously and unconsciously. So notice the latter part when I say the unconscious. Many of our assumptions and our worldviews are unconscious. So we aren't even aware of them, even as we're thinking about them, right? I'll give you an example. Have you ever been driving and all of a sudden you reach your destination and you kind of like come back to earth and you ask yourself, boy, I don't even remember how I got here. So obviously you must have been paying attention on some level because you would have, you may have crashed your car otherwise, right? So it's important to understand that your unconscious brain was handling this job of driving and getting you there while your conscious brain was focused on getting maybe your errands done, thinking about what happened during the day at work, thinking about what you're going to prepare for dinner. So you're driving, physically driving, but your head is somewhere else thinking about whatever else comes to mind, right? So the way we approach health and nutrition is very similar. There are ideas and thoughts that we're aware of and ideas and thoughts that we're not aware of, right? So we can dive down into our brains to start to understand what are our unconscious and subconscious thoughts and our perceptions, and we can start to bring that to the surface and start to understand what our drivers and what our triggers are when it comes to dealing with our health and nutrition. And of course, this is the goal of the program. It's why I created the program, and it's a very important aspect of the program. So this might include like unconscious thoughts that we might believe about ourselves, like, I'm not worthy of self-care. I don't deserve to look good. Looking good is for people who are vain. Eating bad food makes me feel good. I don't want people to notice me. If I stay overweight, I won't have to be social. So these might all be some of the limiting beliefs that we're not even aware of and that drive us to behave in certain patterns that are not serving us when it comes to our health and our fitness. It can be a total chaos of untrue limiting stories in our mind. And sometimes it could take a long time to clear all of this clutter out of our heads or out of our unconscious minds in order to create the space for a new story, which is a story and a truth that is empowering to you and that would serve you in order for you to help you reach your results. So self-analysis is super important, and it's the foundation of this program. And it's essential. But it takes time and it takes effort. And throughout the program, you're going to learn certain tools and skills that will help you to start to travel that journey. But it might take weeks, it might take months, or even years for some of you to untangle all of those thoughts and assumptions around your health and nutrition. And this is, you have to understand that to a certain extent, this is self this self-development work and self-analysis is something that you're going to have to do on a lifelong basis. And it just gets easier and easier, and things become a lot more clear the more you do this. But here's the thing, okay? If you want to start getting into shape right now, today, with this program, what you get to do in the meantime, while you start digging around in that brain of yours, while you get to do in the meantime, is you get to change your environment. So this is super, super, super important. Besides doing the mindset work and the self-development work, changing your environment is crucial. So how do we go about changing our environment? So you can immediately change certain things that are around you. And some of these things include your daily routine and what tools you have available to you and the people in your life that you're interacting with constantly, and the foods that you have in your very nearby environment, right? So things like, I'll give you a quick example. If you're having trouble making it to the gym, you can always opt to get some home equipment, or you can learn how to use your body as your tool and use your own body weight to do exercises, right? So if you're having trouble getting enough vegetables in your diet, well, you buy more veggies and store them, clean them up, and have them ready to go in your fridge, in your face. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you some tips and some strategies on how you can start to change your environment so that you can be better equipped and have a plan, and it's going to be easy and it's going to be fun for you. So let's be clear on the fact that your environment is a big part of your foundation to success, okay? So if you were to think of body composition as a pyramid, right? Here's what a pyramid looks like, right? Well, if we were to notice the tip of the pyramid, in this part of the pyramid at the top, you would notice all the expert information stuff, okay? So stuff like very high level things like adjusting macronutrients, advanced nutritional strategies, really counting calories, things like carb cycling, refeeds. Those would all be things that would be at the very top of the pyramid, because you're getting very, very specific for very, very specific goals. Okay, so it's the smallest component and the last one to occur in your development. Okay, but what we are trying to work on right now is the foundation. So we're looking at things that are at the very foundation of our pyramid. So the base of the pyramid are the things that surround you. So your environment, your social environment, your kitchen, your grocery habits, and your day-to-day routine. So changing your thinking, of course, the mindset eventually is going to be crucial and essential. But in the meantime, it's much, much easier to start to change your environment than it is to change what's up here. So we're going to set you up for success, and I'm going to do this by giving you some tips right now that you can start implementing right away to change your environment. So here we go. So number one, and the most obvious, right, is keep the foods that would drive you to overeat them, the unhealthy so-called foods like, you know, the ice cream, the cookies, chocolate, cake, things like this. Keep them out of the house. Chips, right? Whatever processed food, whatever processed junk that can turn you into an eating machine, just make it easy and keep it out of the house. We don't need any of those high calorie, low nutrition, easy to overeat foods. And at the same time, what you want to be doing is you want to keep clean, chopped, ready to eat vegetables in the fridge at all times. and put them front and center so that you can see them every time you open your fridge. They're in your face, okay? So keep a variety of colorful vegetables ready to go, okay? And don't be afraid to hire an athlete-friendly meal delivery service if you have to. This is always a great way for people who are super busy and don't necessarily even like to cook. Get somebody else to cook the meals for you, but make sure you know exactly what is in the meals. And usually the best companies to go with are those that cater to athletes. And you know that you'll be getting a very, very nutritious, well-balanced meals. And so what could be easier than that, right? So another idea is to use a meal plan. So you don't need to be making new, fresh decisions every day, or keep keep meal choices totally open-ended all the time, because this can become a lot of work. So instead, make decisions in advance. Make yourself a meal plan in advance, like say on the weekend, and you can work from that template. And that way you'll know exactly what you're eating for the week, and you'll know exactly what to buy at the grocery store, how to pre-prep, and what meal you'll eat at what time or when you're hungry. So being organized that way is also really good. Taking, maybe a half hour to an hour on the weekend just to plan out exactly what you're going to be cooking for the week. And that way you'll know exactly what you're getting at the grocery store, and it makes it that much faster and efficient, okay? Another thing, when you are at the grocery store, make sure that you're not hungry, because this has happened to me all the time. When you are hungry and you're in the grocery store, you will tend to buy things that you can tear open right away in the car. And usually that's some sort of processed junk food. And so don't do it. Try to go to the grocery store when you're satiated and you on a full stomach, and have a plan. Get in and get out efficiently, and always make sure that you stick to the perimeter of the grocery store where you have the fresh produce, the meats, and the dairy sections. Don't even go through the food aisles unless you know exactly what you're getting, because again, all the processed food and all the junk is in the aisles, and we don't need any of that stuff. Okay, so another tip that you can do is keep smoothie ready ingredients in the freezer. So if you have berries, and what I do is sometimes I just buy my berries fresh and I'll just throw them in a Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. Or you can prepare little Ziploc bags with portions of, you can have, some greens in it, some berries, whatever other fruit you want to throw in there, and just keep them in separate Ziploc bags ready to go into your smoothie, okay? And if you have any greens in the fridge that are kind of like wilted and like they're kind of on their way out, you can always throw them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer, and that way they'll be ready to go for a shake, okay? And what you also want to do is pre-cook a batch of whole grains so you have them handy to go, because these whole grains usually take a little bit of time to cook, and if you don't necessarily have time on the weekdays, it can kind of get annoying when you're waiting 45 minutes for some wild rice to cook. So make a batch on a Sunday, and that way you'll have it in the fridge to use all week for whatever, for your dinners, for your lunches. Okay. Get your kitchen to be your coach. So keep it clean. Keep your kitchen clean. Keep it clutter-free. Keep it pleasant. Okay, because when you enter a room or your kitchen is a total nightmare, everything's a mess, that causes stress, and stress can usually trigger people, and it might cause you to start binging, and might get you to start eating whatever junk food you have in your pantry, which you're not supposed to have, right? So make sure that you keep everything clean and clutter free, and that always helps. It always works for me when I know exactly how my kitchen is set up and that I am entering a clean, organized environment. Okay, you want to keep your workout gear in your face. So what does that mean? Workout gear, your equipment. So what you can do is have a kettlebell or even some dumbbells in your home, some resistance bands, and maybe a pull-up bar if you're at that level. And what you do is just keep them in your path. So let's say, for instance, you have a kettlebell, you can keep it in your path, and every time you walk by that kettlebell, you pick it up and you do 10 swings. So the same thing with, let's say, if you have a pull-up bar. Every time if you have the pull-up bar in your doorway, like here, what you do every time you pass the doorway, you do a pull-up if you can. If you can't do the full pull-up, use a chair and just work on hanging there, right? So working on gaining the strength to eventually do a pull-up. That's a great way to get some strength training and some movement in your day, especially if you're at home all day long. That's a fantastic way. What you also can do is make sure that you have your workout gear, or not your workout gear, but your workout clothes in your car, always ready to go. So basically you want to turn your car into your locker room. And I do this all the time. My trunk, my car, there's sneakers in there. I always have like a change of clothing. And especially if you're somebody who drives a lot, you want to be prepared with gym clothes and healthy snacks, especially, so that you don't make counterproductive decisions when you're in a desperate moment and you're hungry, right? So always keep a shaker bottle with some protein and maybe some greens powder in it, and you can keep that tucked away in a gym bag in your car. And again, it's just a great, efficient way to be ultra prepared all the time. You also want to be scheduling in your workouts like you schedule in your meetings. So that way it's on the list of things that have to be done. Okay, so you put them in your calendar and you treat them like any other appointment. And what you can also do is, if you're somebody who works in an office, have walking meetings where you would take the meeting outside instead of sitting in a conference room. If you can do that, if you have the authority, or make the suggestion, take your meetings outside and go for a walk if you can. Go to the park if there's a park close by, and have fun and play while you're having your meeting, right? We don't have to be so serious all the time. If you're somebody who travels a lot, what you want to do is try to book hotels or motels that have like a mini gym or even a pool. And what you can do is take a jump rope with you and resistance bands. Those are things that you can take with you. They travel very well. Or even a TRX, a suspension trainer, right? And that way you can do these exercises that require these gadgets. You can do them anywhere. You can do them in your hotel room. So there really is no excuse for you not to get some sort of movement in every single day, right? Another fantastic thing that you can do is to move your social gatherings to a park or to a gym. So if you're meeting up with friends or family, what you can always do is make a suggestion and try something new. It doesn't always have to be, going out to a restaurant or going out to a bar. So make your next social gathering, take it out to the park. Go out and play Frisbee. Suggest that you guys go out and do an activity, maybe a climbing gym. That's something awesome, a trampoline park. There's so many options out there. So always think about, how can I turn this into an experience of activity for everybody? Now, another thing that I love to do is to use my bike. So if you can, why not, instead of using the car to drive around the corner to the pharmacy or to the convenience store, why not use your bike? Jump on the bike and get some movement in for the day. Always a fantastic idea. Now, another great way to get some more movement in your day, especially if you're somebody who sits behind a computer all day long, is to separate yourself from your work once per hour. So what does that look like? That looks like working for 50 minutes and then stepping away from your work area or your desk for at least 10 minutes. So get up, walk, maybe do some stretching as you're walking around, and maybe even some body weight squats. So you should cycle this in your workday all day long, and that way you won't feel so stiff in your joints, and you'll just feel a lot looser by the end of the day, and you'll still have energy in you and focus by the end of the day. So this is a really great practice to start incorporating into your day, especially if you're sedentary and staring at that computer screen all day long. So last but not least, what you want to do is you want to turn your family and friends into coaches for you, okay? So you want to create that supportive environment. So be explicit with your loved ones that you're trying to be healthier, you're trying to get fit, and you want their support, and it's important for you to have their support, okay? And tell them your why. Why are you doing this? What are the reasons, and why is this so important for you? So the more that you're open with people and the more that you put it out there, the clearer it is for someone, and the easier it is for them to understand and to be supportive of you. So they don't have to participate, of course, but you can ask them for their help. And that'll take the pressure off of them to do what you're doing, okay? And most people, especially kids, little kids are great, they love helping in some way. So, kids love to nag, so hire them, hire them as your coach, hire them as your alarm clock, hire them as your workout partner, and they can maybe count reps for you and, have them help you with your meal planning, have them help you prep your things in the kitchen. So if you have kids, God bless, and use them as your coach. And that's it. I hope these tips are helpful, and I hope you start implementing them into this journey. And you'll find that the more you do these things, the more you get into the habit. It's practice, right? So the more you practice it, the more you get into the habit, and it becomes easier and easier. And you'll see that one day it just becomes automatic for you. So I leave you with that, and I wish you the best of luck with your transformation journey. Mwah.